Right, guys, this is the second podcast of the day. I've churned out 3 this week. This is amazing. We've had a break. I have got the amazing, well, I'm going to say amazing, Jeff Tucker from Best Mates here. Just found out that I know his dad, and he was my driving instructor, so I'm literally buzzing off that right now. Anyway, hi, Jeff.
Hello. You all right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. You wrote me a coffee there?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah,
all good, thank you.
Yeah. So, tell me about Best Mates and how it all started, and all about you, really. Okay. Wherever you want to start.
Yeah. Well, might as well start at the beginning, really.
Yes,
the
makes sense.
why, where it came from, where the concept came from. So it's quite a long story, really. But if I start from what kind of created the concept of what we are, and it hits a little bit hard, this bit. So, but back in 2020, my son was attacked by a group of lads in Swindon, behind the alleyway back of Burger King. And that left him with depression, PTSD and so on. He's okay now. But actually, a little while later, me and his mum were flicking through one of his art books, and actually he'd made some notes in there that he was aiming to take his own life.
Gosh. So
that scenario was, as you can well imagine, pretty bloody horrific.
Yeah.
You know, we were lucky that he's still here, because it was an attempted stabbing. He had a few little wounds on him, but they didn't puncture his skin, which was really lucky. So that left us in a position, well, left me in a position, really, that not knowing where to go, who to talk to, who to trust, what I needed, or just how to move a really, really negative, scary, horrible part of our lives forward. And one of the things there was, I wouldn't talk to my wife Jane, because I was protecting her from what I was feeling, and where we were as a family. And then, stood at my patio doors, crying my eyes out, just not know what to do.
Just feeling helpless.
What do I do? If I put my business head on, I'll make a decision, and I'm quietly confident that it'll be a good decision and it'll work. But when you try to make a decision emotionally when it comes to your family, it's a completely different ballgame. It's very, very difficult. So I ended up back then, 2020, lots of online networking. I was in a group, in a networking group, and there's about 30 of us. There's a little square in the top corner. There's this guy called Henry in the top corner, and he was a family counsellor. I just happened to just send him a little message, and me and him started having a few conversations. And cut a long story short, a couple of sentences that he said to me when we were just talking about the situation meant that I changed my approach to everything we were doing.
Okay. And
it kind of, it didn't fix everything, but it eased the pressure in the way we were handling how Kyle was feeling, how we were feeling as a family, how I was handling those emotions and so on. So it dawned on me really, really quickly that actually, if you can be put in front of somebody that understands what you're going through and they can support and guide you, then it takes a lot of pressure off your shoulders.
Yeah.
So moving on from that part, Carl, who's the other co-founder of Best Mates, he's been through his own story. You know, he's dealt with depression for many, many years. And he went on a real tough ride during that time. And he dealt with that by running the London Marathon. So we're both in London. He's finished the marathon. We're all happy, having a great time, sat in a curry house, as lads do. And I decided that I wanted to deliver the concept of Best Mates. So I said, listen, I want to talk to you. And I've got an idea, and I think it's something we should really consider doing. So I delivered it. And he's like, well, go on then. So we created a charity. That charity acts as a best mate when you're stuck, don't know what to do, struggling, financial depression, grief, addiction, whatever it might be. So effectively, when you reach out to us, the first initial step is we obviously speak to you and find out a little bit more about where you're at.
Yeah.
And we get as much detail at that point as we possibly can, because then what we do is we match you with a mate. Now, mates are volunteers that have all been through the mill. They've all got their own lived experience, which you mentioned earlier, which is massive. But they're in a place where they're now comfortable. They've survived, they come out the other end, and they're in a good place. But actually, by sharing that experience back the other way, it's extremely rewarding.
Yeah. So
we hook you up with a mate. That conversation when you're talking to somebody, so take me back to where I was. If I had somebody in that situation, that would have been so, so powerful, because mum, dad, brother, uncle, sister, it'll be all right, mate. Don't really cut it, and it just doesn't really get you to where you need it to be. So that mate conversation is off the chart, the power which comes out of that, and we see it where people just speak and they can just see that actually, there is a way out of this.
Yeah.
There is a way. There's something we can do. So it's kind of early intervention, if you like. But the key thing from there was that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to do some more. So we then decided that let's surround ourselves now with support partners, businesses and well-being people that can offer support for these people. So we're almost a signposting charity.
Yeah.
So then what we do is we work with these counsellors, therapists, wellbeing clinics, all those sort of things. But we don't just say, right, we're going to send you to these people. The whole idea is we interview these support partners so that we're comfortable they'll work the way we want them to.
Yeah.
Talk the language we talk.
Yeah.
Best mates, we are a bit pally and, rather than, there's no jargon and stuff like that. So talking correctly and actually being able to arm around you and take you to these people and make sure you get that help. And of course, we're a charity, so we can help fund that to make sure you get that next step of help. So that was the concept I delivered to Carl back in 2023. We ran for a year just raising funds to try and get something together to make it go live. And here we are 2.5 years later.
Brilliant.
We've helped 288 people to date.
Fantastic.
And that's anything from a simple conversation with a mate, or coming to a walk and talk session, or the full, you might have been on 10 sessions with a counsellor, you might have been through an addiction clinic. There's a really big range of people of just being in a tough place, not knowing what to do, coming through our system and actually getting some guidance. So when they come out the other end, you've got some tools to actually help you along the way. I mentioned the walk and talks there. So that was something we developed very early on, actually. When Ian was with us, he started a walk and talk session. It's called Walk and Talk Wednesdays. It's a campaign we run every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've got one at Coatwater. I've launched one in February over at Lydiard House Hotel. So I've got Swindon covered, both sides. Got one in Folkestone, where our fundraiser lives. And I've opened Melksham, Yate and Cheltenham.
Wow.
So I've got 6 of these walk and talks. Every single Wednesday, 6 o'clock start. They're a place for people that might feel isolated, just want to get out, get some fresh air, might be struggling a bit, want to go and talk to people in sort of the same mindset. But it's a safe space to just go for a walk. And actually, the power that comes from that is I'm not alone with my situation. There are other people with situations.
Yeah.
And then you start talking to one another, this is mine. And it just starts to really open people up.
I was just saying on the podcast earlier about some people still have the mindset of like, well, what's the point in talking about how I feel? It won't change. But knowing the power behind actually just giving it some airtime rather than carrying it all yourself, because it's huge.
Yeah.
But as soon as you go and share it with somebody else, it diminishes it slightly and you're not alone.
I feel it acknowledges it.
It's like you feel heard.
We talk about sort of anxieties and stuff, when you're trying to, if you're trying to deal with anxiety, take action.
Yeah.
That handles that. And I think when you go out into these environments and you just start, like you say, airing it, talking to people, and, even if it's a case of you're saying, I'm going through this, and somebody says, and I'm going through that.
Yeah.
There's a similarity in there.
There's a connection,
and I think it's...
And it is difficult. It's a difficult feeling, but it's understanding you've got to lean into it just to get that support. Otherwise it becomes huge and you're carrying so much.
I think, you're right. And I think one of the biggest things we see, there's lots of things about men's mental health, we're for anyone, women, men, and anybody that needs our help, really. But it's getting those people over that line to start talking. We had one guy with a walk and talk. It took him nearly 8 weeks to... So at the beginning, we used to meet at the cafe at Coatwater, and this guy would sit in his car the other side of the car park and watch us every single Wednesday.
Oh, really?
And then one week, so there was a guy walking across, and I'd been WhatsApping back and forth, and he said, I'm coming, and I watched him walk across the car park, and he'd been every single week since.
Oh my God.
And it's become his thing.
Yeah.
But the real big thing I use Coatwater because that's kind of our flagship. It's the biggest one. The community that we've built within that is pretty massive. That first year cost us about $7,500 in therapy. Well, the people which have been attending it, and we meet in the back room of the Sun Inn now. So Bridget, when she was running the Sun In, she'd do a quiz on a Sunday night and put half the proceeds towards us to raise us some funds and so on.
Fantastic.
But the guys that are doing the walk, well, we've had them doing wing walks, jumping out of airplanes, just raising funds. So they raised about £6,000 in that year. So the community thing's really, really working.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting that awareness out there that these things... So somebody comes forward to us and we hook you up with a mate.
Yeah.
If we've got a walk and talk, we'll suggest you go to the walk and talk.
Yes.
It fills people with dread. The minute they've been, wow,
Yeah.
they love it. You
It's
know?
just crossing that threshold of like
Getting over,
fear. Yeah.
Getting over that line, and then suddenly you're... And the key there is you don't even realise it. You go into a walk and talk and you're surrounded by mates and ambassadors of best mates. And if you're in a bit of a tough space, you've got an arm around you.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we'll taking you on that
Yeah.
path. So it's almost like early intervention, recognising there's a thing, being able to do something about it. But the first step there is when you talk to that mate, is you know they understand how you feel, and that's such a powerful thing. So yeah, that's where we're at. Like I said, 288 people to date. You know, it's the split is just weighted slightly towards women than men, but
Well, I was going to ask you that.
60-40.
Yeah,
you know.
but that's not too bad.
No.
And what do you think? What would you say is the overriding feeling that people may find it hard to sort of cross that threshold? Is it because of how they've been brought up, and then they're in a family that maybe didn't talk, so generationally that sort of thing, or shame because of depending on what they're come for? What would you say?
I think it's a bit of a
big
mix
range.
of both, really. I
Yeah.
think.
Or something else?
Yeah, I think, look, you know, we've been going 2.5 years, and just watching how... I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm now in and working in that world
Yeah.
that you notice that there's a lot more communication out there about it now. But I still think to this day, you know, men will still be men. You know, we're probably 5 to 10 years away from that generation coming through that open up.
Yeah.
But I think there's that. I think there's how you've been brought up, you know, what mum and dad were like,
Yeah.
you know, how they dealt with stuff. And I think it's now being able to provide something that isn't scary and you know you can use it. But you can only get that information up by doing this sort of thing. And just making people go, you know, people's ears prick up and go, oh, what, I can just turn up? Well, yeah. You know, and
There's no barrier
there's
or
no
red
barrier
tape,
at all,
like you just
but
literally
turn
rock up. Yeah.
And you're going to be, you know, if a stranger walks across that car park to one of our walk and talks, the leaders know, they've got their eyes and ears, they know how to handle that, and they'll welcome you in. So what we do now with it is we meet half an hour before we walk to give us chance, because we register you when you get there, because we need your details, obviously covered for insurance purposes, if you need any extra help and so on. But actually we use that first half an hour. So if you are new and you come across, you register, and then one of the leaders will take you and introduce you to some of the people, take a bit of the edge off, make sure you're comfortable with it, and then go for a nice walk.
Yeah, it's
End of the
lovely.
walk, that's it, you're done, and off you go home.
Bit of fresh air.
Bit of fresh air.
Bit of a chat. And side by side. I think that's so important, because
yeah.
join talking side by side.
And you open up.
And people say they have really good conversations sometimes in the car. But when you're that can be quite intimidating when you're like this. So this makes such a difference to this.
Yeah.
I know you can't see what I'm doing on the podcast. I'm saying side by side rather
Yeah.
than front facing can sometimes make all the difference. Can I ask you, with what happened with your son,
Yeah.
how old was he?
16.
And so how old were you?
Oh, crikey, don't make me do the maths.
I'm going to make you do maths.
46.
And what were you like before this happened? Were you a talker?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I think so. That's a good question. I've not been asked that before. If I go back and think about that, you know, as the kids were growing up, being the breadwinner, not to say Jane didn't do her bit, because we worked very well in the way we sort of managed our lives, but actually, right, you go back and think about that. I'd take a week off work and go and fit a bathroom to make sure we got the money coming in and stuff.
Yes.
So those pressures were there,
Yeah.
you know. So was I a talker? I'd say yeah, but I wouldn't say like I am now.
That's what I'm saying. So doing this
Doing
has
this
changed
absolutely
you. Like,
changed
it's had an
me.
impact on you as well.
I have no
Yeah.
fear or issue in telling you how I feel, or even, you know, just showing that emotion. I'm doing a thing at the moment. I do a lot of open water swimming. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that.
Okay.
But I do that. I don't do it for my mental health. I do it because I swim with a group which is a men's mental health group. Now, there's some things happen there. I did a swim the other week, so I'm swimming 52k over 52 weeks to raise some money and awareness, right?
Yeah.
It's not about endurance, it's about getting out and doing it. But I went out one week, and rather than swimming sort of the 400 loop or the 750 loop, it was very choppy, very windy, and I got to the 200 marker, and I turned around and come back, because I got myself in a state.
Okay.
And I wasn't afraid to talk about how that made me feel.
Yeah.
Because you're in that dangerous environment, right? You're in that place where it's like, but now, so I see those things, and I now see those things as actually, I've just witnessed that. I felt like that. I need to tell people about it.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not afraid to talk about those emotions and open up. I'm lucky I have a fantastic relationship with my wife. We talk about all sorts. Very open about feelings, but yeah, it has changed me massively.
Yeah. No, and that's what I was interested in as well. People learning to be vulnerable, that's a strength, not a weakness.
It is, and not being embarrassed about it, you know, because, you know, I'm very lucky now that I'm surrounded by all sorts of therapists, counsellors, and, you know, I network with them. I go for breakfast meetings with them. We do business together.
Yeah.
I'm in that world, and actually...
You're learning all the time, aren't you?
You're learning. And sometimes, every now and again, I'll be out with somebody. So one of our therapists, Yvonne, bless her, we went to... we had a breakfast down at the Sun Inn. And I take the mick, because actually she dialed in on me, right? So just starts asking a few questions, because it gets quite stressful doing what we're doing, and, you know, it can be a bit full on. And she just dialed in on me and started asking, and before you know it, I'm there going, blah, 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 spitting it out.
Yeah.
Woke up the following morning, and I was on fire. I rang her. I said, I don't know what you did to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely bouncing today.
Yeah.
It was really... So I'm very... You know, that wasn't a session, because I wasn't booking into it. It was just talking to people and being surrounded by that mindset.
Yeah. Because I do breath work. Because everyone's like, what do you do for yourself?
Yeah.
We're carrying a lot for other people. And I won't always ask for help. You know, I just get on and do what I got to do. Quite fiercely independent. But like, I do breath work, and then I think one of the sessions we did was like letting go of certain things to let in the new.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's, you know, if you release something,
exactly,
you've got room then for bringing him.
Honestly, I just couldn't. It was. I laugh all the time because I'm like, you're a bloody magician. So I don't believe what you've done, because I literally woke up falling down. Wow.
Firing on all cylinders.
Just because I'd gone.
Yeah.
You know.
Unpack some stuff.
Dealt with some stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, going back to the childhood thing, I think that's always a question to ask. You ask somebody, what was your childhood like? What was your home like? Because actually, you know, some people would home in on, well, my parents rowed all the time. Oh, isn't that awful? But actually, what can be just as bad is my house was really quiet and things were swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, that's your learned lived experience.
Yeah.
So what you take forward from that. Oh, my parents didn't talk about anything, so therefore...
Yeah.
I find that quite difficult. So that's a big question to ask people.
It is, actually, you know, and I think about mine. I mean, my childhood's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, mum and dad both worked. I always remember dad was off for a bit with a bad back for a long time, but it was pretty solid. It was, you know, it was pretty much fun, good family orientated, and, you know, it's always been pretty good. But I think it's different for a lot of people. There's lots of little things that can just eat into and affect and... knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't know how to talk about that or don't know what that is.
Yeah. And I also like that. I don't know if you've heard the thing about you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Have you heard of that before?
No, I have. Yeah,
so you're thinking about who's around, who are those 5 people, what opinions and values do they have, and what do they bring? Because if you're around someone that's quite negative, you're soaking up, and that's forming your opinions and how you...
subconsciously as well. Yeah, you're hearing it all the time. Yeah, exactly.
So that's another thing as well. I always say to people... Who's your 5?
Yeah, good point.
So it's a good one. Yeah. And I love it when I do drawing and talking, and I work with boys, because I'm like, those boys, we're shaping them, the next generation.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, I talk there about men opening up, and so anybody opening up, and actually, you know, taking that step to do something about it.
Yeah.
10 years down the line, that generation's going to be coming through.
Yes.
I don't quite know what it's going to look like.
No.
But I think there's awareness that, you know, there's so much now about, you know, Mental Health Awareness Week. Why do we need a Mental Health Awareness Week? It should be Mental Health Awareness
all round,
yes. You know?
Yeah.
But at least there's a Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
You know, I did 8 talks that week.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Loved every minute of it. But I got to Saturday when I did my final piece. And I got home Saturday afternoon, I sat down on the sofa and I was absolutely knackered.
I can imagine.
But knowing full well I'd been out and doing some really, really good work.
Yeah, of course.
And an understanding that, you know, that awareness thing, Best Mates is being delivered. People now know that that's there. And slowly but surely people start stepping forward, you know. We're always looking for mates, recruiting for mates to come on board, volunteers which have been through it.
I want to do it.
Do you?
But would I have the time?
Well, so basically when you work as a mate, you basically, depends how many people you take on. Now we've got to go careful because it depends what we've got available at the time and what's coming through, who's coming through. But really, you should only have one mate at a time, maybe two, and it's an hour a week.
Yeah.
Telephone call, coffee. It's just a conversation. There's lots of safeguarding, boundaries and blah, blah, blah all around it to make sure it's all safe and so on. So, but it's that thing. If you're going to do it, you've got to be there available for that vulnerable person that might not turn up.
Yeah.
Might take a few weeks before you get that moving. But what I will say is if you do it and you've got the time to do it and it's on your terms when you speak to these people as well, it's making sure that you are there and you're there and it works and you're there for them.
Of course.
So we run that for about 16 weeks. Well, what we're doing in that 16-week period is, number one, supporting you through what you're going through. Number two, we're learning more about you as a person. So when we do match you to a service, that's another thing that actually, why the service providers have to be right, because Kyle went through, I think it was 6 sessions with Vitality Health counsellors, and we had some big rows because he wouldn't go and he refused point blank. And as it happens, when we finally sat down and spoke about it properly, the first 3/4 of an hour, 40 minutes was talking about what he'd been through. Same story, different counsellor each time. So he's in a position now that 6 years ago, how many times do you think he's seen a counsellor since then? If you think about it, Best Mates is there because of what he went through.
Yes.
Right, so the help's there for him if he wants it. How many times do you think he's seen a counsellor?
I don't know.
Twice.
Oh, okay.
Because, what's the point, Dad? Don't get it. What's the point? Ain't going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really key thing, that when we do match you, we do our best to get out as close as we possibly can with that service.
Well, that's right, because I've had hypnotherapy and they don't really focus on what you've been through. It's about the here and now and moving forward, and it's solution-based therapy. So sometimes people can't keep going back on their story. It's like, this is where we are. Let's meet you where you are right now and let's go forward. Yeah. So it's finding, like you say, the right type. And some people can get really put off because they've had a bad experience, but it might just be that person's not the right type type of person for you. So
exactly.
Got to keep going. So are you able to talk about the people that you partner with the counselling and who you have on board?
We've got a big long list.
Have you?
Yeah, we've got a fair few. Trying to remember them all. So we work with a guy called John Lewis Mindset. Do you know John?
John? Yeah.
Good lad. He's a good lad.
He's great fun, isn't he?
He gets involved. You know, most of them do actually. Get involved with the stuff we do and support us with what we're out there doing. Heather Angel, do you know Heather?
Yeah, I've seen her name pop up actually.
So Heather's brilliant as well. She does a lot. We've got Yvonne Parker, hypnotherapist. I know
Yvonne. Yeah,
she's brilliant. You know, all these people are brilliant. Right?
Yeah.
And then we've got Lily. Lily she's fantastic as well. So she does a walk and talk on a Saturday. It was for women, but she goes out and does a walk and talk and gives you, I think it's free. She does it up at Lawns, and she'll give you like breathing exercises and ways to deal with anxieties and things like that. And she's the wife of Mark that owns the Oink Galleries up in Old Town.
Okay.
And there's loads. I think we've got. I think at last count was about 20 different people, but some are in the same spot. Some do a lot more than others. Some get involved, some don't, and it's just having that.
It's diverse, and that's what it's
it
like.
Is,
making sure it covers all aspects.
And it's, I suppose, where we sit now. It's trying to bring more and people in. You know, I do loads of. I mean, the guys I've just rung because I do lots with them. You know, we're always out networking. I was with Yvonne yesterday networking. Me and John are always on the phone taking the mick out of each other, you know, how are you and all that stuff. And so it's really good. So,
and this is full time for you?
No, this is, but me and Carl aren't paid through Best Mates. It's non-for-profit, so we don't get, so this is charity work. So during the day I work, me and Carl used to work together at Track Employment. I made the decision to leave that 15-year career with Track last May, and go it alone. So I call it a digital marketing agency, but I make sure that when you use Facebook and Instagram to promote your business, I make sure you get the reach you need through paid ads.
Wow, that is useful to know.
That is very useful to know. It's a very good. I'll tell you more about it when we're not on here. But it's very much. When I worked at Track, I used to do all the graphics. I used to do all the social media, and you never used to get it to where you needed it to be. So when I left there, I didn't leave to do this. I kind of had an eye on it. But I decided, this is I've filled that gap, so now I can make it work.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Yeah, because I used to be social media manager, and at that time it was like put something out, you just get out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't have to worry.
Yeah, but back in 2018.
Yeah.
The Meta platform started to restrict what businesses reached when they were posting. So so I couldn't have done it back then.
No.
But what I'm doing now is working. So so I run Best Mates and Audience Pro, it's called. I run them alongside each other. They kind of do work with one another. I also do so it's kind of a triangle. So we've got Audience Pro, which I do with the social media. We've got Best Mates, so that obviously we're pushing that and I get out and do a lot of networking with. I've teamed up with a private medical insurance company.
Okay.
And what they do, if I introduce people to them for private medical insurance, they pay up to £100 donation to Best Mates.
Okay.
So it kind of...
That's good.
They all join up.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So so what I'm trying to do there is my day-to-day life. I struggled for a bit because it was like...
Right, we're back online. Apologies, I had a phone call come through.
No, that's right. So so we've got the private medical insurance, we've got the audience stuff, and we've got Best Mates. But it's all about... Well, Audience Pro isn't about well-being and welfare, but they all sort of link in the way I'm working. So it's it's hard graft because you're thinking, right, business head, I've got to get that work done. Because Best Mates is what it is, it can just leak in.
Yeah.
Carl, bless him, he's up and down to the city all the time. He's done so much good work down there in terms of working with corporates and raising money down there, and that's his world. I've spent time up here pushing the walk and talks and growing the awareness and so on.
Yeah.
And we're now at a point where we've got to take it up to the next level. So, we're looking for fundraisers, we're looking for grants, we're looking for more mates, it's moving it up one now.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep wearing that weight on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Not that it's heavy, it's just graft.
Well, that's it,
and it's rewarding, right?
Yeah.
Crikey, when I stand there and say I've helped 288 people in the last 2.5 years, I mean, that's happy days. We only set out to help one. And that's growing.
It's just evolving, and
you
need
watch
to
where
move
that
with it.
goes by the end. We want to double that by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And mark my words, we'll push on that. And the way we both work, I'm more than confident we'll get there. But that ain't going to come with blood, sweat, and tears. And we will get there.
Yeah.
So, but it's a fantastic thing. Love it. It's making a difference. We're collaborating wherever we can. So any connections you ever think about that, right, it's worth talking to Jeff, then please just do it.
Yeah, and if you can come on Monday.
Yes, I'll do my best to do that Monday, yeah.
And if not, then come to the next one, because there'll be more, and we want to do more. There's lots of things we're all talking about, and it's quite exciting. So I'm interested to see kind of how that goes. There is another guy coming, and I'm going to talk to you about him after the podcast, a photographer.
Okay.
You might be interested in speaking to as well. Question. How does your son feel about all of this, and do you feel like he's proud of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so. We don't really talk much about it.
Interesting.
I say we don't talk about it. He's fully aware of what's going on. He knows what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle's still in that place where he's not recovered from what's gone on yet. He still struggles. He's not where he needs to be, but he's here and he's okay. But I think he's proud of what I've done. What we've done. I think it's to turn something that was so bloody rubbish and horrific and horrible to being where I'm sat today with 288 people out there in a better place. Then I think he gets it. He understands what's going on.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Is he your only child?
Well, I've got 3 kids.
You've got 3?
So,
okay.
2 stepchildren, Nicole and Lewis, which I brought up from very young.
Yeah.
Kyle's my own only child, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got the 3 and 4 grandkids.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. It's all good.
So raise a great granddad.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yeah. I'll speak to Dad later.
Yeah, though I love that. If you did, that's made me emotional. I'm like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, all good.
Anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about?
No, I think we've been in quite depth there. I think
Yeah.
that the biggest thing for me is the awareness and people knowing we're there. Not being afraid to reach out, and the best way to reach out is through the website. It's the coldest part about getting help is going to that website, dropping down the form saying I need a mate and filling the form in. That's the cold part. But literally, once that bit's happened, you'll be spoken to within about 48 hours. We'll be working with you to find out what you're going through. Before you know it, we'll have you hooked up with a mate, as long as we've got somebody in that area. That can be a sticky point at times as we're growing, which is why we're recruiting more. But you'll be on, make that call, get involved, because, within the next couple of weeks, your life will slowly start to change and you'll start to see those leave, even if it's just a very small step. You will start to see
you won't regret it. That's the thing. You won't
regret
it. So that's the important part, isn't it?
So I think the point is, if you sat there and you're feeling a little bit like, crikey, what am I supposed to do with this? Then we will do our damnedest to offer a solution and help you with some guidance.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.